Hello again, everyone. Today we are going to continue our lovely story of Alex Brychta, the biography about him, starting from page 125, from where we stopped off last time. So last time we were talking about his first job and when they moved to England. Now we are going to talk about the story that Brychta had written. As you can see here, it's about Biff, Chip, Kipper, and Floppy, the dog. The one that we talked about in the beginning of the story. So in 1984, the author Rod Hunt wanted an illustrator for his Biff, Chip, and Kipper books. And he liked Alex's illustrations. And he asked Alex to draw Biff, Chip, Kipper, and Floppy. In July, Alex illustrated the first story about Biff, Chip, and Kipper. It was called A New Dog, so Floppy was in it too. Next, he illustrated 23 more stories by Rod. In 1986, 24 stories were published and sold to schools. The books were popular and read by children in the UK. Later, children in lots of countries started reading Rod and Alex's books. The stories were very popular, so the publisher asked Rod and Alex to write lots of new stories. Family life. In 1989, Alex married Dina. They had two children, Kelly and Dylan. When Kelly and Dylan were young, they helped their father illustrate two of his books. In 2012, Alex and Rod were each given a special award by Queen Elizabeth II of Great Britain. Alex was very proud of his award, but he said the best thing is that all over the world, millions of children enjoy reading our books. By 2013, Alex had illustrated over 500 Oxford Reading Tree books. His books are sold in 136 countries. The stories are in 9 different languages. And the word cloud down over here on the right, it says cartoons, illustrator, published, and Soviet Union. So let's go back up here to Biff, Chip, Kipper, and Floppy. So the author that wrote the book was called Rod Hunt. Up over here. So this is the name of the author. This is the person that actually liked Alex's illustration and asked him to draw Biff, Chip, and Kipper, which are the sisters and the brothers, and Floppy, their dog. When did all of this happen? This happened in 1984. So Alex illustrated the first story about Biff, Chip, and Kipper. When did that happen? It happened in July. What was the name of the story? It was called A New Dog. So definitely Floppy was in it. Right over here, Floppy. So what did Alex do after that? He illustrated 23 more stories by Rod. So if you say in total how many stories did Alex illustrate for Rod, probably 23 stories over here, and the story that was called A New Dog up over here. So maybe in a total of 24 stories were illustrated by Alex for Rod. So in 1986, 24 stories were published, and they were sold to schools. So if you realize the fact that these were read by children in the UK and in lots of other countries. So if you ask yourself, were these stories quite international? Then definitely yes, they were. They were read by so many people because they were very popular. Moving on over here. As you could see, down over here you have children around the world love the Oxford Reading Tree books. You have people from everywhere reading it, and it is something loved by so many, that is for sure. Moving down over here, we talk a little bit about Alex's life. So when did he get married? He got married in 1989. Who did he get married to? Alex married Dina at the time. And how many children did he have? He had 2 children. What were their names? Kelly and Dylan. That was his life, his family life. And what did Kelly and Dylan actually do? They were young, yes, at the time, but they did help their father in illustrating two of his books, which is something really, really amazing. So when was Alex and Rod each given a special award by the Queen Elizabeth II of Great Britain? It was in 2012. So again, and you could also ask this question in a different way. When you ask what happened to Alex and Rod in 2012, you could say they were each given a special award by Queen Elizabeth II of Great Britain. And this was something, of course, that would make anyone extremely proud and happy. But what was the most thing that made Alex happy was the fact that his books and his illustrations and the books by Rod in general were all over the world, and that millions of children enjoy reading them. So if you ask yourself what happened by 2013, Alex had illustrated over 500 Oxford Reading Tree books. So if you ask how many Oxford Reading Tree books did Alex illustrate by 2013, it would be 500, which is a large, large number of books. If you ask yourself how many countries are these books sold in, it would be sold in 136 countries, which is also a really, really big number of countries to have your books sold in. And the stories are in 9 different languages, so it is quite international. And yeah, that is the end of the story, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry about that. Yep, that is the end of the story. If you have any questions at all, let us know. The word cloud over here again on the bottom right, it's quite simple. Cartoons, illustrator, and if you ask yourself what an illustrator is, it is again in the beginning, first page, if I remember correctly. Yes, right up here, an illustrator, very clever illustrator, so you know what it means, draws and paints pictures for stories. So that's what an illustrator is, just in case you need it for the word cloud. Going back down, sliding all the way down over here, you have published, which means you're actually taking out or giving out their book so everyone else could read it. They're publishing it so everyone could buy it, everyone could kind of purchase it and give it a read. Without publishing it, nobody would actually get the books. And Soviet Union, last word down over here, that is the country, Soviet Union, which if you remember correctly, oh, so sorry about that. If you remember correctly about the Soviet Union, you will realize up here on page 123, that is the country called the Soviet Union, which invaded Czechoslovakia at the time in 1968. All right, that is the entire story of Alex Brychta, his biography. If you have any questions, let us know. Thank you again.